Joy here. Welcome back to another video. I want to talk about something quite serious today. As you might have already been able to guess from the title, there is a lot of talk about genitals here. So content warning, you have been warned. Genitals talking about. So, somewhat recently I discovered a movement, a protest movement, online and also exists in real life, speaking out against circumcision, specifically circumcision performed on infants' penises. But why? Well, the people protesting against the custom of surgically removing foreskin from newborn babies make these arguments. The practice is ancient and barbaric. Tradition alone is not enough of a good reason to continue performing a rite. It removes agency. It's impossible for a baby to consent or even understand the process of what's going on. There's a risk of infection, of accident, even of death. There's decreased sexual sensitivity in later life. However, comparisons are near impossible to make for the obvious reasons that someone who has had a foreskin removed at birth doesn't know what it feels like to not have it removed. There are no benefits, none that can be quantitatively or qualitatively raised. It's child abuse, at least it should be considered as such, and it also should be equated with FGM. And I'm going to take some time to explore that last point. FGM, or female genital mutilation, is a somewhat inaccurate term because vagina doesn't necessarily equate female. However, since babies and children can so rarely express their gender identity, biology kind of rules the terminology here. It's not the main point anyway. The process known as FGM is considered wrong and condoned by Western civilized society. So much so that it has been illegal to perform the practice known as FGM in the UK for over 30 years. And British law has in fact gone so far in efforts to protect the public that the Department of Health decided that intimate piercings in the vagina and clitoris areas must be recorded as FGM by the NHS as of March 2015. However, such an overreaction fails to take into account circumstances of genital alteration. So, for example, namely, the informed consent by willing adults. And it totally muddies the waters of statistics. Real, horrific cases of FGM happen to underage girls who are taken abroad for the act. This law ensures that less resources get to where they need it by classifying everything under this umbrella term. It's obvious that cosmetic piercings do not equate abuse. And so far, it has led to some piercers refusing to even perform any vagina or clitoris piercing through fear of the consequences, prosecution, or even worse. And the law still has not been updated. It's unfair, it's wrong, and it's completely ridiculous. By comparison, the country Iceland recently moved to completely ban the practice of circumcision of infants, assigned male, with punishment of up to 6 years in prison. However, there is a caveat that allows consenting adults to continue to have circumcisions. They have faced backlash from religious groups claiming this ban violates their rights of Jews and Muslims to practice their religion. They've been called anti-Semitic and anti-Islamic. However, it would seem that Iceland's lawmakers care more about human rights than religious ones. At least someone's talking some sense. So, let's circle it back for a moment. Many adults circumcised as children are speaking out against the practice because they feel abused and mistreated. The movement itself supports being left uncut. Stands to reason they wouldn't be complaining if they were happy about it. But other countries' legal systems are dragging their heels, seemingly unwilling to offend any religious groups. If you look at the argument from a philosophical debate kind of viewpoint, the burden of proof is on the people who circumcise to provide compelling reasons and evidence in order to continue performing the practice. They make the argument that FGM is not the same thing as MGM, or male genital mutilation. However, they fail to specify why it's not the same. Scientific efforts to prove that circumcision is okay or even healthy all fail under scrutiny. And the one other argument that you will hear a lot is that there's a cleanliness issue. Now perhaps millennia ago that might have been true, that it was easier to keep clean. However, not now that we know about basic hygiene essentials like soap. Welcome to the 20th century. You're a little late. However, there are people doing something about it. For example, there was in Thornhill Clinic in Luton on the 22nd of March 2016, the UK's largest protest against the practice known as MGM, or circumcision. And there's a wonderful video about that, giving all of these people a chance to speak up and speak out. There is also a video that I found with all of the reasons debunked on a YouTube channel called Counter Arguments. And it's there that you can find all of the statistics and research. I didn't want to repeat what was said in that video for fear of risking redundancy. Just go find it. It's really easy to find. So why am I talking about it? What's my dog in this race? Well, I want to talk about my own circumcision experience for a moment. I had what you might call the ideal experience. The procedure was done on me for medical reasons, not pseudo-religious ones. I was aged 19 at the time, so I was a fully consenting, fully understanding adult at the time, and it was performed by a surgeon under anaesthetic, not a religious practitioner who then sucks the blood out with their own mouth. I mean, hello, vampiric, barbaric custom, why does this still exist? However, what I can tell you is that the healing process took a long time. It lasted weeks. There was major bruising, swelling, ugly stitches and scarring. Knowing that and going through the process of that, I can only imagine how a baby with no concept of circumstances or reasoning or available critical thinking might be going through this, with what is essentially a basic injury in a sensitive area for no real medical reason. They must feel hurt and of course be unable to understand the healing process as well, because it takes time. No one really knows that if any deep psychological trauma is involved, exists, is present after that event. But it's safe to say it's not a good thing. the moment you're born, suddenly you've got this crazy pain. How bewildering must that be? And of course, not to mention when the procedure goes wrong, it can go very wrong. It's time to stop this bizarre act on infants and children. Anyway, that's all from me today. See you all soon. Hope the week finds you well. Bye.